Let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever sat there late at night, phone in your hand, thinking, why ain't she texting me back? You swiped up, checked your last message. Yeah, it was respectful, nothing crazy. You thought she'd be the first to respond, but now it's been 3 days, 4 nights, and all you got is silence. Radio silence, like you never even existed. Let me tell you something right now. When that happens, it ain't just silence. That strategy, you see, fellas, and ladies who are tuned in too, there's this little thing folks like to play in today's relationship jungle. It ain't chess, it ain't poker. It's what I call psychological tag. And when she hits you with that no-contact move, you better believe she's not curled up in her bed crying over you. Oh no, she's watching, she's waiting, she's thinking, she's mirroring. Now you sitting there all messed up. You pacing the room, opening Instagram like it's a slot machine. Maybe you'll hit jackpot. Maybe her story's got some clue. Maybe she posted something cryptic, a quote, a song lyric, a selfie with her nails done looking too fine for someone who's supposed to be grieving over you. Let me give you a truth pill. It might hurt going down, but it'll wake you up. If she's mirroring you, then brother, she ain't chasing. She's checking to see if you got the backbone to chase her. People talk about the no-contact rule like it's a punishment. But that ain't what it is, not always. Sometimes it's a reflection. If you pulled back, she's pulling back too. You ignoring her, she ignoring you better. You trying to act strong, she acting stronger. See, this ain't about emotion. It's about control. And let me break this down because some of y'all ain't hearing me. She's not doing this because she forgot about you. She's doing it because she remembers everything. That last conversation, she rewound it like Netflix. That missed call from you, she saw it, didn't answer on purpose, and not because she didn't care, because she cared enough to want you to feel what she's been feeling. There's a dangerous myth out here, especially among grown folks pretending to be grown. We think silence is weakness. Nah, silence is a move. It's a signal. When a woman goes quiet, you better check your energy. Check your actions, check what you're projecting, because she ain't just disappeared into the void. She's testing the field, watching how you react when she's not available. Now some of y'all gone say, but Jack, she said she needed space. And you took that like a suggestion. Nah, that wasn't a suggestion. That was a chess move. When she said she needed space, she meant, let me see what kind of man you are when I'm not right beside you. Because let me tell you something, true strength ain't shown when she's texting you every day, when she's calling you every night. True strength is shown when she ghosts your world, and you don't fold. But now let's talk about the flip side, because not all of y'all are the good guy in the story. Maybe you were acting distant. Maybe you were playing hard to get, trying to train her into chasing. But here's the deal, real women don't chase. They attract, they reflect, they mirror, and the game you started, she's finishing it. Better than you, sharper than you, colder than you ever thought she could be. Now here's where the pain kicks in. You think you got it all figured out, right? You're doing your own no-contact thing too. But slowly you realize she ain't breaking, she ain't cracking. In fact, she's blooming. She's glowing up, she's dressing different, hanging with new people, posting subtle flexes with no captions, and that's when it hits you. Maybe she ain't playing games, maybe this ain't revenge, maybe she's just done. Let me hit you with some ancient truth. When a woman starts to mirror you, she's trying to restore balance. Women are nurturers by nature. They give, they forgive, they hope, but once they stop giving. Once they stop texting good morning and asking how your day went, that ain't coldness, that's balance. That's her looking in the mirror and saying, let me match his energy for once. Some of y'all are confused right now, asking, what should I do if she's mirroring me? I'll tell you what not to do. Don't panic. Don't jump in her inbox with 10 paragraphs and a crying emoji. Don't call her like it's 1999 and beg her to come back. That ain't attractive, that's desperation. What you need to do is evolve. You got to step back and ask yourself, Why did she go silent in the first place? Was it because you were playing too cool, too unavailable, or maybe because you stopped appreciating what you had? Don't sit there crying over her silence when her voice was once shouting, "I love you," and you ignored it. You don't get to act shocked when the garden you neglected stops blooming, and to the ladies listening, you ain't off the hook either. Some of y'all out here mirroring, but deep down you still expecting a man to break first. You still hoping he'll fold, text you first, miss you so loud it echoes into your inbox. But here's the problem. You can't mirror someone who's blind to their own reflection. Some men ain't hurt. They're confused. They don't even realize what game is being played. So here's what I want both sides to understand. Mirroring ain't manipulation. It's revelation. It reveals who truly values the connection. It shows who's mature enough to respond instead of react, who's strong enough to lead with clarity instead of ego. If you're both mirroring silence, then maybe nobody's the villain. Maybe the love just needs to be relearned. But we live in a world now where communication is considered weakness, where vulnerability is taboo, where telling someone "I miss you" is equal to losing. Well, let me tell you something. The strongest thing you can ever do is tell the truth. You want to win her back. Stop the games. If you know you want her, tell her. If you're confused, say so. But don't pretend like her silence don't bother you when it's got you losing sleep. You see, there's something powerful about understanding intention, and if she's mirroring you, it's because she noticed you stopped showing up. She noticed your love was conditional, that it depended on how available she was, how much she fed your ego, how soft she stayed while you hardened. And she said, "Okay then, let me give him a taste of his own potion." Now some of y'all are gonna take this the wrong way. You're gonna think, well, if she's playing games, I'm cutting her off. But that ain't wisdom, that's pride. Pride keeps you lonely. Pride is why your last relationship ended in confusion instead of closure. Don't let your ego rob you of your healing. Instead, do this. Be the bigger energy. If you want her, reach out. Not from weakness, but from strength. Say, "Hey, I noticed we've been quiet. I want to talk." Just that. No drama, no assumptions, no blame game, just honesty. Because the moment you start communicating like a grown soul, not a wounded child, that's when healing begins. But if you reach out and she still mirrors silence, then understand this. Her silence ain't just a game now. It's a decision. It's her peace speaking. And you gotta respect that peace, even if it breaks your heart. And if you don't reach out, and she doesn't either, then let that silence be your lesson. Not every connection is meant to last. Some were just mirrors, showing you who you were, who you pretended to be, and who you need to become. Let's stop glamorizing the no-contact game like it's some genius tactic. It's only powerful when it comes from a place of self-respect, not spite. Real strength ain't in how long you can stay silent. Real strength is in how clearly you can express yourself without begging or blaming. So what if she's mirroring you? Then ask yourself, what exactly are you reflecting? Are you cold? Are you distant? Are you inconsistent? Because a queen mirrors the energy of her king, and if you want to break that mirror, you better show her something new to reflect. See, life will always give you back what you put out. If your energy was low, if your presence was inconsistent, if your love was conditional, then expect the mirror to go foggy. But if you show up with clarity, with consistency, with courage, then that mirror turns into a window. A window back into the relationship you lost. A window into the future you could still build. Let me say this loud for the people in the back. Communication ends games. You want answers, ask. You want peace. Speak. You want closure, don't wait for it, create it. And if you're the one doing the mirroring, ask yourself, what do you truly want? Do you want revenge, or do you want resolution? Do you want to match energy forever, or create something real, something lasting, something honest? At the end of the day, silence might protect your pride, but it won't feed your soul. Connection is built on truth, healing is built on understanding, and love is built on showing up, even when it's uncomfortable. So, here's the final truth. If she's mirroring you, maybe it's time to break the reflection. Maybe it's time to step out of the game and into the truth, because the only thing more painful than her silence is knowing you could have spoken and didn't. Choose truth, choose growth, choose love that doesn't need mirrors, only light. The end of contact reveals the truth of connection. That moment when communication breaks down, when the texts stop coming, when the calls go unanswered, and when silence settles like a storm before the final wave. It's not just the absence of noise, it is the presence of clarity. It is the mirror no one asked for, but everyone must face. Because it's in that very silence that we begin to understand what was real, what was one-sided, and what was only held together by the illusion of effort. When someone goes silent, especially after a period of consistent interaction, the gap reveals more than words ever could. You start replaying memories like old movies on a cracked screen. You examine every detail, every smile, every laugh, every argument, and ask yourself, was that connection true or just a temporary distraction? Because when the line goes dead, when there's no more voice on the other end, your mind fills in the blanks with honesty you were too afraid to face when you were comfortable. People don't always say what they feel, but their absence is rarely ever accidental. That gap, that pause, that silence, it has weight. It's not passive, it's heavy with intention. Whether they disappeared out of protection, self-preservation, hurt, or exhaustion, the message is clear even without words. Something wasn't right. And if you're brave enough to sit in that silence without distraction, without running to the next body, without numbing the ache with pride or ego, you begin to uncover a raw truth: you were either chosen or you were tolerated. Connection is easy to fake when there's constant dialogue, when people are exchanging messages, when there's light banter, when affection is flowing. It's easy to convince yourself that it's mutual. But remove all of that, shut down the access, cut the wires, and the silence reveals the imbalance. Because if it was real, someone will fight for it, someone will reach, someone will break the barrier not out of weakness, but out of truth. But when that contact ends, and no one moves, no one steps up, no one reaches across the silence, you find your answer. Loud and clear. In this digital age, where love is often measured by response time and attention, spans are shorter than a tweet. Losing contact feels like death. Not death of the person, but death of the illusion. Because suddenly, the version of them you held in your heart collides with the reality of their absence. And you start to realize maybe you were more invested in the idea of the connection than the connection itself. You thought they cared because they liked your post. You thought they were loyal because they replied with heart emojis. You thought they were committed because they didn't leave when the first fight happened. But none of that matters now, because the silence screams louder than any promise ever could. And it's not bitter, it's sobering. When you stop hearing from someone, when the conversation dries up like a well that once overflowed with affection, you don't just lose their presence. You lose the illusion of safety you built around their existence. That's why no contact cuts deep. Not because of what is lost, but because of what is exposed. The truth. That truth comes in waves. At first, it feels like confusion. You keep refreshing the chat thread, hoping they'll text. You stare at your phone, believing any minute now it will light up with their name, but it doesn't. Day 1 turns into day 2. A week passes. Your mind starts asking questions that your heart doesn't want the answers to. Was I enough? Did I mess up? Was it all fake? But the silence, it doesn't respond. It just lingers. It sits in the room with you, and every hour it stays, it speaks louder than any closure conversation could. Then comes the phase where pride kicks in. You start saying, well, if they don't care, then I won't either. You convince yourself to mirror their silence. You tell yourself you're stronger alone. But deep down, in that quiet corner of your soul, you're still checking. Still hoping. Still waiting for a sign. Because when connection is real, it doesn't go away quietly. It fights. And when that fight is missing, the silence becomes your teacher. It teaches you about what was one-sided. About the energy you gave that was never matched. About the vulnerability you offered that was never held with care. It teaches you that sometimes people are in your life not to love you, but to awaken you. And when they disappear, they leave behind the gift of truth. The connection wasn't what you thought it was. Some people never intended to stay. They just enjoyed the season, and when that season ended, so did their effort. You weren't abandoned, you were released. Released from the performance, released from having to convince someone to choose you, released from the cycle of waiting for someone to love you the way you loved them. The end of contact reveals the truth of connection because, without communication, only the real ones remain. The ones who truly cared will find a way. The ones who only stayed for comfort will drift quietly, hoping you don't call them out. It's like emotional gravity. What's real will stay grounded. What's fake will float away, and it hurts. God, it hurts. Because you start remembering all the plans you made with them in mind. All the future scenarios where they were by your side. All the versions of yourself that felt safe when they were around. Now you're left with shadows and screenshots. But even that pain is a teacher. It doesn't destroy you. It refines you. You learn that love is not measured by how people show up when things are easy, but how they stay when silence gets uncomfortable. When there are no romantic dinners, no playful texts, no fun trips, just the raw truth of two people choosing each other. When all the noise fades, when all the distractions are gone, are you still there? Are they still there? Because connection, true connection, doesn't vanish with silence. It deepens, it matures, it transcends space and time. The real ones don't need constant contact to remember your worth. They reach out when it matters. They hold space even when it's not convenient. They show up in ways that aren't loud, but loud enough to be felt. But when that doesn't happen, when you wait and no one comes, when you finally stop checking and realize they're not coming back, that is the truth. Not because you're unlovable, not because you weren't enough, but because they were never really there, maybe physically, maybe emotionally, but not truly, not in the way that lasts. And here's the part we hate admitting. Sometimes we knew it all along. We knew the connection was shallow. We knew the depth wasn't mutual, but we ignored the signs. We gave them benefit of the doubt. We romanticized the bare minimum. And now silence is holding up a mirror saying, look, this is what it always was. You weren't in a deep love. You were in a deep hope, and hope without foundation turns to pain, but pain without reflection turns to bitterness, and bitterness without healing turns to cycles. That's why the silence matters, because it stops the noise long enough for you to hear your own truth, to face the part of you that kept settling, kept pleasing, kept shrinking just to keep a fading connection alive. So when that no contact comes, sit in it. Don't chase, don't beg, don't run to replace. Just sit, breathe, feel it all. Let it wash over you like a storm you can't escape. Because when it's over, when the last tear dries, when the last hope fades, you'll see it, clear as day, the truth of that connection. Who showed up, who disappeared, who fought, who folded, and maybe, just maybe, the silence was a gift. A painful one, yes, but a gift nonetheless. Because it gave you something the connection never could, honesty without distraction. And in that honesty, you found freedom, freedom to move on, freedom to heal, freedom to finally see yourself not as someone waiting to be loved, but as someone worthy all along. The end of contact doesn't destroy you. It reveals you, it reveals what you ignored, what you believed, what you gave, what you deserved. And once you've seen that truth, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to illusions. You can't go back to begging for breadcrumbs. You rise not out of revenge, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. Clarity that doesn't need closure. Clarity that doesn't need validation. Clarity that doesn't need them to return, because the connection, if it was real, would have spoken through silence. Would have crossed distance, would have survived pride, but it didn't, and that's okay, because what didn't speak through silence was never meant to echo into your future.